So in this video, I'm going to be going over 6 essentials that I use for Performance Max success. Now, surprisingly, quite a lot of these are outside of your Google Ads account because there's quite a lot you can do. There's quite a lot of variables you can adjust outside of your Google Ads and your campaign itself that can significantly improve the performance of your campaign. And this is what I want to hammer down to you guys is, in every campaign you run on Google Ads, success in it is going to come from large amounts of changes you do to outside of your accounts. And typically with agencies, this is something that can determine what is a good agency to use and what's a bad agency to use, because often these things fall outside of the scope of your Google Ads accounts and therefore they would say are out of our scope of work. But a good agency would do these, and if not, make you aware of them to request them from you, because quite a lot of it does require you and sort of development of the website developers to get these stuff done. But yeah, this is what I use to have success like this. So this was an account I used to be on, and this is a 10 ROAS from 13 grand spend. So we used to have like 10 to 30 grand spend monthly, and we were consistently achieving over a 10 ROAS using these tips. Okay, so let's move on to the first one. So the first one is Merchant Center health. So you need to have a well-optimized Merchant Center, well-optimized products. And the first one we're going to talk about is just the health of it. So you see this here. This is showing an unhealthy Merchant Center. Why? Because we have a huge amount of issues in the account. So your aim is to go onto your diagnosis tab on the Merchant Center and have as minimal issues as possible, especially ones that have disapproved ads like this or listings like this. And we can even see an account issue here, which is only a logo, so it's not a major one, but you want to have as minimal account issues as possible. Okay, so that's the first one. And another one you can do is fill in your returns and shipping fully. You want to have every bit of your Merchant Center filled in as much detail as possible. So that's number one. Number two is feed optimization. Now, when we talk about feed optimization, this is the products that you are linking to your Google Merchant Center. And there's a couple of ways we can optimize them. The main ones and the most important ones are your product titles, your product descriptions, and the images you use. Now, typically, you would just connect your feed up from your Shopify website and plug and play, and you'd be like, okay, that's it, I'll use that. But in reality, you should be optimizing that as much as possible. That's an integral part to the success of your campaign, and if you're not doing anything to it, then you're losing out on ROAS. Okay, so these are really important ones to do. There's other things we basically need to make sure we have as many attributes as filled in as possible. So things like your GTINs, and now if you run your own products and you don't have a GTIN, then that's fair enough. That's not one you can fill in. But if you're a retailer advertising other products from other companies and brands, fill in the GTINs, also color variations, and definitely Google product categories. So in order to optimize your feed, you can either use a feed optimizer, which is a paid thing, but very, very essential, very, very good. We use it at our agency. It's fantastic. Or you can use a supplementary feed, which is something like this. It's when you pull it into a Google Sheet like this, and you can add all the attributes at the top and you can fill it in yourself. So it's a bit more manual and a bit harder to do than a feed optimizer, but still really, really good and something you should do. Okay, so that's number two. Number three is one I really like, is product reviews. So product reviews on a listing like this aren't standard in your account. You need to basically sort of apply to get product reviews. And what this comes from, and what the easiest way to get these is using a product reviews aggregator. Now there's multiple ones you can use, FIFO, reviews.io, there's loads of them, Trustpilot. So, and what this does is connects it to an external software from your website where these reviews will go into, and that's where you manage them. Now, I think there's Shopify apps as well, but yeah, there's ones you can use, and the good ones and the ones you want to use are the ones when you can connect it to your Google Shopping listings, because you can pull it into your Google Merchant Center, and that's how you see these reviews on product listings. Okay, and these are really, really good because they fill up more real estate, and they also add social proofing to your website as well as your Google Shopping listing. So it's really detrimental to do and really, really important. Number four is related to your Performance Max audience signals. Now, I've gone over audience signals in detail, and they are they're quite straightforward to do from my perspective. So please make sure to watch that video. I'll link it in the description. But the most important bit of your audience signal is your previous data. So it's the middle section that's called My Data. And this is when you can use your previous purchaser history in order to help direct Google's targeting to target people who are similar to your previous purchasers, because in theory they are most likely to convert because they have the characteristics of your previous purchasers and your target market. Now, these are a few audiences that I like to use in it. So these top two are just website visitors. You don't need to connect, you don't need any CSV files from your previous purchasers. These are ones you can use straight in the audience manager of Google Ads. Now, these ones are some other ones I like to use. So total purchasers, specific product purchasers, and top 25% of spenders. Now, the best way and the easiest way to have these audiences populated is to set it up with your email marketing software. Now, majority of you will probably use email marketing if you're running ecom, and the one I like to use quite a lot is Klaviyo, because what you can do is integrate Google Ads with Klaviyo. So what I can do is create an audience in Klaviyo that is pulled directly into Google Ads, and the benefit of this is it's a live audience. So every time a new customer comes in and is added to that audience, that pulls straight through to Google Ads. Okay, so I don't need to go in and refresh my CSV files like I've had to do so many times, and this is why I really like this method here. So your previous purchasers' audiences are very, very important, just as everything I'm saying in this slideshow is. Now the next one, campaign structure. So there's a few different structures you could use, but the ones I've liked to use from testing PMax, and I've been running PMax since it first came about, is this 80-20 segmentation, or higher ROAS, lower ROAS campaign structure. To put it simply, but as before I continue, this isn't a one size fits all. This is subjective. Everyone's different. Everyone has a huge amount of differences in the types of products they sell, in the quantity of products they sell, and in the quantity of variations of SKUs that they sell. So this isn't a one size fits all. So it's subjective. But if you want to message me about this, then please do. I'll happily have a conversation with you. To put it simply, this is a structure that you can use that is successful, and I've used it for quite a lot of accounts actually. It's a 80-20 rule, as I've said, but one campaign is for your highest revenue driving products, that should say. Sorry. And the next one is for the campaign is for the rest of your products. So the 80-20 rule in marketing is that 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your products. So that's why you want to make sure those 20% of products that generate your 80% of revenue are in their own campaign of their own, because they can have their own budget set to them, and you don't need to worry about others potentially sucking budget and not returning a good ROAS. Okay, and then the other campaign is for the rest of your products. That's just very, very put simply, because I want to make sure this video is short and sweet. The next one we want to do is asset group testing. Now, when you put a Performance Max campaign together, you think it's AI driven, it's all automation, that's great, it's plug and play. No, it is not at all. It's plug and test. Okay, so the things I like to do in order to test, or the areas I focus on for testing, is my audience signals primarily, my ad copy, but then also feed-only asset groups. Now, certain things you can test within your audience signals is using audience signal with interests only, using audience signals with my data only, or using no audience signal at all. Okay, there's multiple different things you can do in your audience signal and segment it out itself in order to test. The next one you can use is ad copy. So you can use ad copy variations for testing, and you can also use ones which are feed-only asset groups. Now, I've heard good things and bad things about feed-only asset groups, and what it is basically is when you don't put any ad copy, any imagery, or any videos in it, but you have to have like 2 or 3 headlines, 2 descriptions, and so on. So you need to put as minimal into it as possible, but that's what we call a feed-only. And so it can focus the most on Google Shopping. That's the premises, and that's why people do it. And the sixth and final one is product testing. Now, this is quite a good tip because it's very easy to do. And what this means is not all products should be advertised on Google Shopping, because not all products perform well on Google Shopping. So if you have 100 products on your website and you want to list them all, it might not even be sustainable to do so. Now, I'm not saying now, why this product isn't performing very well, let's just pause it, let's not advertise on Google Ads. No, you can go through and use all of these tips I've given along here to help improve the quality of that product listing. And and if it succeeds and if it improves, then fantastic. But if it's not achieving your ROAS goals, then you don't need to advertise it. You don't need to advertise every single one of your products. And what you can do is refine your budget, consolidate your budget to your most profitable products on Google Ads. Because if you think about it, the premises of using Google Ads is that will be a first touch point of a user to your website. Okay, and a user has a thing called a lifetime value. So they can come through one product, go onto your website and love your brand, love that product, and think, I'm going to look at your others. And then you go to buy that other product organically or through your email marketing. Just because it's a channel, an advertising channel, it doesn't mean you need to advertise every single product, especially if profitability is essential to you. Because most of the time, majority of your marketing spend is going to go to ad spend. It's going to go to your Google ads, it's going to go to your Facebook ads. Whereas there's other channels to use like email marketing that is a lot cheaper, or organic content on TikTok and Facebook that is a lot cheaper to make. Okay, so you don't need to make sure you're advertising every product, especially when your spend is so high on this channel. Okay, yeah, that's it for this one, guys. As always, I want you to connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me a message about anything I've gone through over this video. I'd love to start a conversation. I do reply to every single one of you who connects with me on LinkedIn. And yeah, that's a great one, guys. I'll see you in the next. Thank you.